Before we go there, if you don't mind, not to skip over it. Some are even saying that there is a new Chandrian, a fresh terror in the night. His hair is red as the blood he spills. Now, Kvothe or Coat does say the important people know the difference, as if he were trying to convince himself, but his voice was weary and despairing without conviction. It's really that. I mean, that line about the new Chandrian does. I mean, that's big. That's like, okay, so what in terms of like speculation? What that really hints at the possibility of. I mean, what did he do? What would he have to do to say that for someone to suggest that he's a new Chandrian? Does that mean he killed one of the seven? Does that mean, well, he killed an angel? Does that? I mean,
Well,
what did the Chandrian do?
I mean, from what the stories we learn later, like the Chandrian been around forever. Why would what could possibly? And I'm just throwing this out as a hypothetical. Like, I mean, as an honest question, what could he possibly do to make himself become a Chandrian?
Well, so there's two things that could be happening here. One, chroniclers try to get him to tell a story. So he knows if he knows quite a bit about Kvothe clearly. So he could be taking it pretty far to try to say, if Kavothe's biggest enemy is the Chandrian, then let me speculate that maybe that's who he is. Or he could be suggesting he did something so awful that people think there's a new Chandrian. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe.
That's sort of like Fitz, like, not on the show, but Fitz has talked about, like, with just me and Tim is a possibility that Kvothe is going to be an anti-hero, more like an enemy or a villain. And yeah, I think that's that fact that he's described as a possible, people describe him as a new Chandrian, lends some evidence to the fact that he's at least perceived as going bad.
Yeah, there's little hints. There's little things that I can take as maybe this means, and so that's why, I mean, him as the anti-hero, kind of a sense that I get, and me and Tim will argue about it, that he's a flawed hero, and that makes the best heroes, and I agree with that. But yeah, it's just the questions, like little hints like that, make me really question what his arc's gonna end up being.
Yeah, it definitely it raises your eyebrows, like the fact that there are people that think he's a new Chandrian. So clearly he's done something that would at least lead people to believe that what he did was just pure evil, or that what he did is forcing him to join the Chandrian, something along those lines, or that now he has to become pure evil.
And along those lines of people thinking he's pure evil, I mean, we get a sense in this world that is very superstitious, and couple that with the fact that all the different stories that surround Kvothe, if something were to happen where he did something, which we know is going to happen, something, call it astronomical,
cataclysmic,
something huge happens, that people in that world would be prone to say he's a Chandrian. That's my point.
Yeah, it's definitely a reason, and I think, I don't think he's necessarily going to become a Chandrian, but I think there's going to be reason that people would say that. I think there will be something that's clear that, like, okay, that's why they would say he's became a Chandrian, because he did this, and this was, this is clearly. I don't think he's going to do something just evil or bad, but I think that it could be interpreted that way. I think it'll be you'll be easily able to interpret it in a way where it was just something that was pure evil. If you're coming from an outside perspective and you don't know exactly why he did what he did and exactly what he did, I think there'll be something to that.
I think that's I think that's also hinted at or sort of alluded to where Kvothe's response is the important people know the difference.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
So yeah, I think you're right about that. It's I mean, on rereads, it really jumps out at you. We're like, well, Jesus. So what could have happened here? You know, but I mean, Chronicler uses it. He uses it. He coerces him in a really, really great way, where he's just keeps pulling him, and saying, "Look, man, you know what rumor can do. What role is going to be remembered for you? What label is going to be remembered?" And that's what he's kind of pitting Kvothe against himself.